The Minister of Finance, Honorable Ofori-Atta, has stated that for the country's nationally determined contributions, $4.2 billion, representing 34% of the amount required, needs to be raised at the national level, while $8.29 billion, or 66%, has to be raised from international sources. The NDCs are our country's self-defined national climate pledges under the Paris Agreement of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, detailing what they will do to help meet the goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, as well as adaptation to climate impacts and ensuring sufficient finance to support these efforts. The finance minister said this during the first workshop on the Global Shield Against Climate Risk and Global Risk Modeling Alliance in Accra on Wednesday. He noted that, given the cost, it is critical to have an innovative climate financing mechanism that would help implement the adaptation plan within the stipulated time. On the financial front, the minister recommended that structures be established to offer pre-arranged and trigger-based financing. The Africa Center for Energy Policy has questioned government's decision to prolong AKSA plant's contract by 15 years. Between 2017 and 2022, the AKSA power plant, which ACEP said is overaged, earned the firm an estimated $700 million in capital recovery and fixed operation and maintenance, while delivering an average of 16% utilization. It has, however, been allocated a capital recovery charge of approximately $750 million over the prolonged term. The AKSA plants are ancient Wasilla engines assembled by a private developer during the load shedding period in 2015, with units obtained from various nations, including Cyprus and Sri Lanka, at a cost ranging from $1.2 million to $2 million per unit. The entire investment cost of the project, according to ACEP, should not exceed $60 million, a fact that sector regulators are aware of. It also questioned why the acquisition was permitted by both the Energy Commission and the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, given its possible negative impact on the electricity industry. ACEP stated in its July report on the power sector that deploying the most efficient power plants in Ghana is critical for long-term sustainability and prudent sector management to minimize cost and assure dependability. The Electricity Company of Ghana has announced the start of Operation Zero, a new statewide revenue mobilization exercise. According to ECG, the exercise would commence on 11 July and end on 11 September 2023. The two-month exercise, according to an ECG statement, intends to reclaim every unpaid debt down to the last pesewa. It was announced that, as part of the operation, it would audit customers' residences and other establishments that use electricity. The security services will also work closely with the ECG to identify and prosecute anyone who obstructs the procedure. According to Uganda's Ministry of Energy, about half of their electricity is still unutilized. Engineer David Mumasu, the interim assistant commissioner in charge of energy efficiency and conservation in the Ministry of Energy, told media on Wednesday that the situation is horrible. He said power is supplied but not consumed, as their consumption capacity is still very low. The country has the capacity to supply 1,600 megawatts, but demand is 850 megawatts, which is almost half of the energy they can supply. According to him, electricity is available for dispatch by an independent power provider, but is not evacuated owing to a lack of grid infrastructure and inadequate demand. The Ministry of Energy official said having too much electricity and not using it costs the government money because everything produced must be paid for. While the government invests much in electricity infrastructure, much of it is redundant and expensive to maintain because the power is not utilized. The Auditor General stated in his 2021 report that the government paid an average of 87 billion shillings for idle electricity. Cutting oil and gas production would be dangerous and irresponsible, according to Shell CEO Will Sawan. Sawan has insisted that the world desperately needs oil and gas since renewable energy is not replacing it quickly enough. He cautioned that growing demand from China, along with a severe winter in Europe, might drive up energy prices and bills once more. The Shell CEO enraged climate scientists who said Shell's plan to maintain current oil production levels until 2030 was incorrect. According to Emily Shakbath, a climate scientist at the University of Cambridge, companies like Shell should focus on accelerating the green transition rather than trying to suggest that the most vulnerable in society are in any way best served by prolonging our use of oil and gas. The globe is racing to replace fossil fuels with cleaner options, as world leaders have vowed to keep the earth from warming by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius this century. Last year, the European Commission described how the EU would accelerate its transition to green energy in order to reduce its reliance on Russian oil and gas. Many countries lack the infrastructure to transition to more sustainable kinds of energy. Visit energyghana.com or energyghanamagazine.com for more on these stories. Energy Brief is proudly brought to you by Airport View Hotel.
Energy Ghana TV. Local in focus, global in perspective.